Hi, and welcome to Jules Voto's Photo Focus. Now this is a video I really didn't plan to make, but after publishing my last video on lens shades, I realized there were a couple things I left out and a few things I wanted to clarify. So this is going to be a really short video. And then my next video, I stated in my last video that my next video would be in the second week of January. So it looks like that will be published on January 12th. Okay, so just a few things. I mentioned that you could sometimes use a larger shade than the recommended shade. So I just ran a few tests, and this is something that I know works. The Nikkor 24mm 2.8 calls for the HN1 shade. However, I have been able to use the HN2, which is a little bit bigger, which was really designed for the 28mm lens. So the HN2 works fine on the 24-2.8. And the 28-2.8 calls for the HN2, but I have found that the HN3 works perfectly on that. The HN3 is designed for the 35mm lenses, the 1.4, the 2.0, and the 2.8, and it's also for the 43 to 86. But again, you could use this little bit longer shade on the 28 2.8. Not sure about the 28 3.5. I haven't tried it on that. Probably should work. Again, as I explained in my last video, if you want to try to use a longer shade, mount the shade, stop the lens down to its minimum aperture, aim your camera at an evenly lit, light-colored wall or a clear blue sky, and press your depth of field button. If the corners don't go dark, then that shade is probably okay for that lens. Another thing, I mentioned rubber lens shades and how great they are for shooting through glass, just pressing the lens right up against the glass. Another thing, if you fold them back, and this is a 50mm 1.4, if you just fold it back, makes storing the camera, makes it a little more compact. You don't have that protruding lens shade, but also offers some protection. So if you're going to be carrying it and on your shoulder, fold the shade back, it protects the lens, and you could even mount a snap-on lens shade with the rubber hood folded back. Another thing, I mentioned the AF lenses, and when Nikon went to AF lenses, they had bayonet mounts. Not all of them had the bayonet lens shade mount on the outside of the lens barrel. I know, for example, that the 28-2.8 didn't. I don't believe the 51-4 did. They used screw-in shades, okay? And also the AF Micro Nikkor 60mm 2.8. But one thing with the Micro Nikkor, the 60-2.8, also with the older 55-2.8 and the 55 3.5, the front element is so recessed on this lens that you really don't need a lens shade. Okay, now of course if you put a filter on it, then you're going to need a lens shade. Okay? Another thing with the snap-on shade, and this is a 105-2.5 with the HS4 shade, also HS8 shade is similar, just a little slightly different way to mount, but you can reverse them. Okay, you can reverse it and then place a lens cap on the end. Again, that makes it much more compact to carry and also offers some protection to the lens. And finally, I mentioned with Nikon's polarizing filters, both 52, 62, and 72mm, they had a dedicated lens hood for them that made it, enabled you to be able to operate the polarizing filter to turn. This is a third party, a Tiffin circular polarizer. It's a 77mm filter. Well, it also has 77mm front threads, unlike the Nikon filters, which have larger front threads. And I mounted one of these rubber shades, and you could easily adjust your polarizer. It easily spins, and you could easily adjust your polarizer. You just want to make sure you securely mount the shade so that as you turn the polarizer, you're not unscrewing the shade from the front of the polarizer. Okay, so I think that's it finally for lens shades. Again, I highly recommend them. I don't see any reason not to use one. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos on Nikon. Some general photography videos, but I would say a majority of them are on Nikon, especially on Nikon manual focus cameras and lenses. So take a look at some of my other videos if you're interested in manual focus. So look for my next video on January 12th. That video is going to be on the difference between digital and film. I'm going to do a comparison, image quality of digital versus film. So I think it's going to be very interesting. So again, look for that on January 12th. Thank you for watching. I believe this video will be out a few days before New Year, so Happy New Year to all of you, and I will talk to you in the new year.